The volcano is now in eruption. There's a relatively new vent seems to have formed at the back of the crater lake, and it's a very open vent, and volcanic ash has been emitted from that, and this morning it was rising about 300 metres above the vent. White Island has been coming towards an eruptive episode for quite a few days now, and we saw the first eruptions on Sunday morning. On Sunday morning we saw the first eruptions, and we've just seen that been escalating as the vent has isolated itself from the crater lake and started to ash. To the right is the crater lake, and to the left is this new vent. At that time it was just putting out steam and gas. When we were there this morning, it actually was in training volcanic ash. This is the start of a new eruptive episode at White Island. White Island was in eruption from 1975 to 2001. It's been quiet since 2001, and it's now starting another new eruptive episode. It may last for a few days or weeks, or it could be like the last episode and last for 25 years. Ever since White Island was first discovered by people sailing past the coast, it's been recognised as an active volcano, and its last eruptive episode is certainly the longest in historic record, and that was from 1975 through to 2001. White Island is an active volcano, and it's starting to erupt, and that's what we'd expect from an active volcano. White Island is capable of quite large explosive eruptions. It's certainly a very dangerous place to visit. The risk at the island has changed quite considerably now that the island has started erupting again. It's up to people visiting the island to understand that it is a high risk environment, and they have to make their own decision as to just what they do and how they go there at the end of the day. New Zealand sits on a plate boundary, part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. So along that plate boundary are many active volcanoes. At the south end you've got the Tongariro National Park volcanoes, Ruapehu and Ngātahoe, Te Māori, Tongariro, and then you come to Taupo Volcano, Reparoa Volcano, Rotorua, Tarawera, and as you go offshore to White Island, and then from White Island through to the Kermadec and up to Tonga, there's numerous submarine volcanoes, and in fact one of those at the moment just north of Raoul Island called Monowai is also in eruption. Just a part of living on a plate boundary. We have lots of coincidences in time, with multiple volcanoes erupting, and at other times we have no volcanoes erupting. For example, 1995-96, largest eruption in 50 years at Ruapehu, and other volcanoes were quiet. In the 1940s, Ngātahoe and Ruapehu both were having vigorous eruptions. Tongariro is going through a reawakening phase. The historic eruptions in the 1890s, 1892, 1895, 96, 1897, they were relatively short-lived, but they were quite strong explosive eruptions. The present eruptive episode, it may be over. It could just curl over and go back to sleep. It could develop into a stronger eruption. At this time we have no indication one way or the other. Same with White. Now that White is reawakening, based on our 1970s to 2000 experience, we would expect this to be maintained for quite some time. In New Zealand, to manage our volcano problems, we have a Volcano Alert Level system. It's a numeric system, numbers from 0 through 5. 0 is a quiescent volcano doing nothing. Level 1 is a volcano showing signs of unrest. Level 2 is a small scale or minor eruption in progress. So that's where White Island is sitting now. We have a small scale minor eruption occurring. So the question is asked about risk on the Bay of Plenty coast, and we've looked at the geological record of deposits on the Bay of Plenty coast, and we can find no evidence in the geological record going back several thousands of years for White Island ever having affected the coast. There's no eruption deposits, no tsunami deposits or anything like that. So we do not perceive any risk for the public from White Island. Communities on the mainland are quite safe from White Island. We don't expect it to do that sort of thing. Visiting the island is a totally different story. There's much, much higher risks there, but living on the mainland and watching the volcano is fine.